Hey everyone, how's it going? So what am I working on now? Well, I got a 2013 E150 Ford van, full-size van, and the customer's complaint is it runs rough. And so it got here last night, and it sat all night. I just started it up. Hooked my scanner up to it. Now, when I first started it, the motor clattered like crazy, like rock, and it's actually got a flashing check engine light right now. And but anyway, it clattered like crazy, and then that went away as the oil pressure built up, and then it was ticking and clicking and everything else, and then that eased up, and it lasted maybe 30 seconds in total between everything. Like right now, it's running, and it don't sound bad. But I'm gonna double check the oil because there's no oil change sticker on this thing, and it's got 132,000 miles on it. Check this out. All right, so we got a flashing check engine light, but it does not feel rough at all, like it's misfiring. A flashing check engine light means you have a catalytic converter damaging issue occurring. Sorry, truck backing up next door. So that's the reason for a flashing light. Usually it's a misfire. Usually, almost every time it's a misfire. But the reason for the flashing is to, like, hey, get your attention. You have a catalytic converter damaging code or issue occurring right now. So I just want to show you this. So cylinder 1, cylinder 4 misfire. That's in pending codes. Whoops, memory codes. Random misfire, cylinder 1, cylinder 4, and misfire detected. Okay. Let me go back here. Don't recall where Ford keeps it. Misfire data. Cylinder 4 has been misfiring. But now I'm curious why the check engine light is flashing, because it doesn't have any current misfires occurring, which is very, very strange. All right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to shut it down. I'm going to go get a rag. I'm going to check the oil first before we do anything. Just keep it ignition. So let's check the oil on this thing and make sure that that's good. And then we're going to take it for a ride, see what it feels like. I'm going to assume at whatever I said the mileage was, 130-something thousand. I'm going to assume the plugs were probably never changed. So we're probably going to have to do plugs on this. It's a 4.6 liter. I did one similar to this. Matter of fact, it's the same owner. I did a video about 2 months ago, maybe, with an E150 with a misfire, and I swapped coils and stuff like that. But it had a current misfire at the time. This thing does not, as you can see. So I got a funny feeling the plugs are just worn out. But let's just double check the oil real quick. Okay, so up under the hood here, they conveniently put the dipstick all the way down there. So you got to try to get your hand down in through all of this. And as you can see, there's not an incredible amount of room. So let me get down in there. Let me get the dipstick out. All right, so I pulled it out, wiped it down, pulled it back, stuck it back in, pulled it out. I don't know if you could see. It's full, but it's almost like it's got bubbles in it. Like it's aerating. It had very fine bubbles in it when I first pulled it out. You could see some of them right there. See them? They're actually popping. So what's the story with that? Does this thing have another problem that I might not know about? I don't know. It could be over full too. It's definitely a little bit over full, but it could be over full enough and creating issues like that. I see bags under my eyes, but I think my allergies are kicking in too. Yeah, so it could be because it's over full. I guess the guy must change his own oil is the only thing I can think of that's the reason for no sticker. But yeah, let's take this thing for a ride and see if it actually misfires while we're driving it. I think what I'm going to do because I already know cylinder 1 and 4. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually clear the light and then drive it and see what happens. All right, so we're back inside. The key is on, and let's see. Clear codes. All right. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to Misfire data, and let's okay, so this is where we have 1 and 4 up. All right, let's go for a road test and see what it does. Let's see how she acts up. All right, like I said, I'm going to go on a road test, so as soon as something maybe starts to act up, I'll show it to you. Otherwise, maybe it's going to be an uneventful road test, but let's find out. He was complaining it does run rough, so let's see what happens. All right, so I stopped in my secret testing facility in Mexico, and I'm in their parking lot, and I want to show you something interesting here. The check engine light flashing, and can you see my camera shaking? This thing's misfiring like crazy. So if you come down here to pending codes, cylinder 1 misfire detected. Okay. Now, let me see if it's still going to show it. Misfire data. Oh, there, now it's actually showing it. Misfire current drive cycle. Because before, everything was staying 0. It wasn't showing cylinder 1 misfire. Which is weird. I have had that happen several times on different vehicles where it won't show the actual misfire. But obviously there it did. Let's just see if there is... I don't want to do that. Oh, is this the one I want to do? As you can see on the scale there, cylinder 1 is not contributing it just about at all. See that? So that tells me it's dead. I'm going to brake stand this thing a little bit. I have it in gear. It shows it's coming up, but this thing is shaking like crazy. So it's still misfiring. All right. Get back to the shop. We're going to pull this engine cover off and go from there. Okay, so back in the shop. I got to take this doghouse off. And Ford actually made this pretty easy. I'm actually very impressed. I already unlatched it, so to speak. This thing snaps in place. I already jarred it free by like picking up on it. So this way I can show you. It just comes up and off like this. So there's nothing special you have to unhook. Nothing special you have to unlatch. So I just did that. As you can see, the clip down there holds it, but it's held on those 3 little prongs there. So we're going to get this piece of the console out of the way. Then you have these latches here, there, and down on the floor. And then that doghouse, as we call it, will come off engine cover. And it's easier to pull it out on the passenger side because you don't have to deal with the steering wheel. And the nice thing about the Fords is, usually you don't have to pull a passenger seat out. Chevys, you got to pull a passenger seat out most of the time if you got to work on them because they're just a pain in the butt. So, all right, let's get this out of here. Okay, so with the engine cover off, you can see we got somebody already put a new transmission in this thing. It appears looks pretty clean. I can see marks on the bolts, heads of the bolts. Anyway, so it's very tight in here. You got cylinders 1 through 4 on the right bank and cylinders 5 through 8 on the left bank. I'm going to take the air cleaner assembly out for right now, and I'm going to swap cylinder 1 and cylinder 5 coils to see if the Misfire moves. Actually, what I'm going to do is pull out cylinder 1 coil first and take a look at it. Because sometimes you can see burn marks in it and it'd be like really obvious, but you never know. But let me take the air cleaner housing off first. And that is actually not that difficult. You have an 8mm up here. That's actually maybe a 10. Somebody changed it. It should be an 8. And underneath this cover, there should be 2 8s for this bracket here, and then you have the 8mm clamps, and then this whole assembly should just pop off. But yeah, this is supposed to be an 8mm head, and it's not. Somebody messed with it. But the air cleaner housing is also a mass air meter. But if you get this out of the way, you can get to the front plugs relatively easy. And there you see with this cover out of the way, that's what those bolts are supposed to look like up there. These type of 8mm headed bolts. Anyway, just had to lift this up out of the way. I take these 2 8s out. I got that clamp loose right there. And then this assembly will come out. I'm going to disconnect the electrical connector right there. Get that out of the way, and I'm going to take this air tube off also. All right, so there's 1, there's 5. 1 is the one that was constantly misfiring, but don't see anything. There's no burn marks on the boot or anything like that. So we're just going to install this on number 5, and we're going to install 5 on 1, and then let's see if the Misfire moves. All right, so coils are swapped. I put the air box back in place because, like I said, that's the mass air meter. Just make it a little noisy when I start it, but because I got the doghouse off. So what do I do with the keys? Okay, hello. Shut that off for a moment. And as you see, cylinder 1 is still misfiring. See that? Not providing any power. So let's pull the plug out next. I got the plug out. Look at this. Yeah, that's not good. That is a catastrophic meltdown. I'm curious if something happened inside the motor. All right. Let me throw a plug in this thing and see what happens. Then we're going to go from there. Motorcraft Platinum. They run nitrous on this thing? All right, so I stuck my little Calvan Borescope down there, and I've had a few people ask me about this, and I've gone over this before. This is a Calvan tool. Sorry about that. Show you my armpit. Sorry about that. Calvan tools. See this? I've had this thing for a number of years, and I enjoy it. It works very well considering the price. I mean, I think it was $70. I don't recall. I'll see if I can't find a link, and I'll put it into the description at the bottom. But in the video, which I attached, at least I think I did, you'll see the top of the piston looks okay from what I can see. I couldn't get a good angle to see everything with the top of the piston, but I saw maybe a good half of it. There looks like there's some stuff in the corner, but I think it might have been some debris that fell in from pulling the plug out and stuff like that. I don't know what it is. I can't really tell. So not overly concerned about it, but I'm getting a plug here right now. I'm gonna throw a plug in and see how it runs. All right, so there's a new plug compared to the old plug. I did measure the gap, and the gap is at 43. It calls for 42 to 48. And like I've said, never take a gapper and put in between the electrode and the grounding strap and open up the gap. Never do that. On a newer style plug that's iridium, platinum, stuff like that, you will ruin the spark plug. You can actually destroy the tip and you can create a misfire. So as you saw, I did put a touch of copper paste on there. As an anti-seize, you can just see a little bit of the remnants. You just need a dash. You know, a lot of people say you don't have to, but you know what? I've never had a problem doing it. But like I said, you don't have to, you're not making fried chickens. You don't have to like slather it in batter, so to speak. But just like that. So we're gonna put that in place and we're gonna see if the misfire is gone. Hopefully it is. I have no idea why that happened to the plug. But since I switched the coils, the misfire did not go to 5, but we're gonna just put this one plug in for right now. We're gonna do all the plugs, but I'm just gonna put the one in for right now and see what happens. Okay, all back together. Come back over here. Oh, there you heard the motor making noise. And it's only been sitting for an hour maybe. It sounds smooth. All right. So I'm good with that. All right. I'm gonna put all the plugs in it now, and then we're gonna road test it. Why that plug melted like that, I don't know. I have no idea. The cylinder maybe went super lean for whatever reason. I don't know. Hard to say, but okay. Let me swap all the, or let me do all the plugs, I should say, and get this all back together, and let's road test it. All right, so all the plugs are in. I'm gonna show you something interesting. Here's all the plugs. Cylinder 1, cylinder 2, cylinder 3, cylinder 4. And if you remember, cylinder 4 was the one with the other misfire. Cylinder 3 wasn't even misfiring. And look at that plug. All the other ones look okay, just extremely worn out. So what happened? Who knows? But let's start it up. Put the doghouse on yet. I got everything under the hood done. Yeah, she sounds good. She sounds smooth. And look at the graph, nice and smooth. Perfect. So I'm okay with that. All right, cylinder 8 dropped off there a little bit. And now it's coming back. Could have been some stuff that got dropped down in the cylinder, it's possible, because there was some dirt and stuff up there that you can't even get to. I should try blowing it out, but if you saw in that first video, or in that video with the Borescope, I should say, there was some stuff in there. It looked like it might have been leaves or something. You know, sometimes you can't get everything out. So I got a funny feeling that might have been what it is. It's gone now. All right, let me get the doghouse on this and let's road test it. All right, so back in the van, everything's together. All I'm going to do is I'm going to, yeah, it's all fine there. I'm happy with that. I want to go to codes menu. Cylinder 1 misfire is pending. Not current misfire and startup. All right, I'm just going to clear DTCs. You could do off or running. Okay. Review codes. Okay, sometimes Fords are weird like this. Sometimes they will not clear right away. Let me back out completely. All right, let me shut this thing off. Put the key in my hand for a second. All right. Like I said, sometimes they will not clear. Not exactly certain why. Alright. OBD2 system readiness test not complete. That means the monitors required to pass inspection are not set. Alright. I'm just going to leave this bad boy on the floor down here. Let's go for a road test. Okay, so I went on my road test. Runs great. Runs great. No misfires, no nothing that I could feel. But remember the funny thing was I couldn't feel a misfire the very first time, and then all of a sudden it started chuggling really bad. It's kind of weird that it did that. But anyway, ran great, has plenty of power. Let's just double check codes in that. No codes pending. So that's perfect. Let's just go back down here to data. Misfire. And look at that, everything's clear. All right. Got stuff in here chattering. Misfire model neutral profile correlation. Okay. It's not the one I wanted, is it? No. Okay. That's good. That wasn't a power balance. Alright, see it? Smooth. Perfect. Just what I wanted. Alright. Alright, so that was kind of interesting. Not sure why the plug melted down. The only thing I can think of is the platinum tip or the iridium tip or whatever it was. They just eventually wore away and the plug started to overheat on its own. Maybe ran it lean, I don't know. But it was cylinder 1 and 3, and the funny thing is 3 was never misfiring. So, whatever. But it seems good now. Alright, that was interesting. I like that. Hopefully you got something out of that. I did. If you're getting something out of my videos, hit that like button. If you could, please subscribe. Alright guys, have a great day. Keep wrenching.